Alright, so this is going to be my NBA playoff predictions. I know the NBA play-in is not over, but I wanted to get this video out today because we don't have much time between the end of the play-in and the actual start of the playoffs. So the 8 seeds are still undecided. I just picked Memphis and Atlanta, but I don't really care who wins because neither of those teams, spoiler alert, neither of those teams I think really has any chance to beat the number 1 seeds. But we'll start over here with the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, the Dallas Mavericks are also playing the Grizzlies tonight for that 8 seed. But either way, it's probably going to be a 5-game series. I'm just going to go here and pick OKC 5. I think Memphis is just good enough to get 1 game. I think Dallas could be good enough to get 1 game as well, but I don't think they're going to get any more than that. Now, Eastern Conference, it's going to be a similar story. I'm going to pick Cleveland in 5. So I think Miami maybe could be sneaky and get 2 games here. But they're not getting any more than 1. I do think they're good enough to get 1. I think Trae Young will go off in at least 1 game. I'm not necessarily caring about which games each team is going to win. I'm just like, this series is going to be a 5-game series. Just give Atlanta 1 game. It could be game 2, it could be game 4. I don't really care. I'm just saying it's a 5-game series. So with that said, we're going to move on to our 5 matches here with the Clippers and the Nuggets. So these are going to be a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. I definitely think this series is going to be phenomenal. As long as Kawhi Leonard is healthy, which he has been pretty much ever since he got healthy this year, right, in like January when he started playing. He's been pretty healthy all season long. So that's obviously the Denver Nuggets have kind of been spiraling in the last few weeks or the month, really. Mike Malone just got fired. The Clippers have been really hot. I believe they're like an 8-game win streak coming into this match. And start off here, I think it's gonna go 7 games. I think it is going to be a 7-game series. Probably one of the best series. Probably the best series of round 1, in my opinion. You certainly got the storyline of Russell Westbrook going against the Los Angeles Clippers. That's a cool storyline, right? Obviously. Also, if the Clippers are able to win this series, I don't know when the last time Kawhi Leonard has been healthy in a round 2 game with the Clippers, so that's going to be fun if they can move on. Obviously, the Nuggets won a title 2 years ago. And if they don't even make it out of the first round, that's going to be a pretty big issue. But they already fired their coach and their GM. So to me, it kind of feels like the Nuggets were already throwing this season away. Because of that, I am going to pick the Clippers here in 7. I could obviously see Denver winning that in 7 or in 6, But just because like they kind of already threw in the towel, I feel like, when they fired their head coach and their GM just a week before the playoffs. So that, I am going to pick the Clippers to win this series in 7 games. The Nuggets obviously have the better player in Jokic, right? The Clippers are more well-rounded, in my opinion. Now, the Bucks and Pacers, we have big news on Damian Lillard. He is cleared of his blood clot, but he's not cleared to play in Game 1. He could come back at some point later in the series, but that's also not 100% guarantee. He still could miss his entire series and be healthy for round 2 if Milwaukee can make it that far. And because I think this is going to be a pretty fun series, I'm at least going to go 6. I don't know if this game's going to go 7. I don't know if we're going to have 2 7-game series here on both 4-5s. That just doesn't seem very realistic, in my opinion. My personal take is that Damian Lillard probably does not play at all this series. Like the Bucks are going to really be banking on winning this series and get Damian Lillard going forward. Personally, I do not see that happening. I see Indiana taking theirs in the games. They beat Bucks last year. Of course, the Bucks were not healthy last year either, and they're not healthy this year. Again, we don't know exactly when Damian Lillard is going to play. If Damian Lillard does come back, like in Game 3 or 4 or something like that, I could very easily see Milwaukee winning this in 7 or 6 games. But personally, I don't think he's coming back this series. So because of that, I'm picking Indiana in 6 games. Now on to our 6 matchups. Let me kind of be opposite. I'll do the Eastern Conference with the Knicks and the Pistons. Fun matchup, right? Obviously, Detroit's first time in the playoffs since like 2019 with Blake Griffin or something. I'm not sure when the last time they won a playoff. It was probably, I'm pretty sure the last time they won a playoff series is when they won the finals. I could be mistaken, but it's around that time at least. So that's obviously kind of sad for these Pistons fans, and coming up against a really good New York team. I don't really know how much of a chance the Pistons have, to be honest. I'm going to take New York in 5. Again, Detroit is very inexperienced when it comes to playoffs, right? 90% of their roster has not played in the playoff game. New York, obviously, they were in the playoffs last year, and a good amount of this team, like Carlton Towns, was also in the Western Conference Finals a year ago. So a lot of playoff experience on this Knicks team. I think that's going to be the biggest factor here. And also, they're just a better team. They have better stars with Jalen Brunson and Cat. Of course, he can be good, but I think Jalen Brunson's better. I think Cat has an argument to be better than Cade Cunningham as well. And, the Knicks are easily the better, well-rounded team. And they have more experience. I'm taking them in 5 games. Now, the Lakers and Timberwolves, I feel like with LeBron and Luka, if the Lakers do not make it out of the first round, that's going to be a very big disappointment. Timberwolves obviously made the Western Conference Finals a year ago, so they have big expectations here as well. But again, they do not have Karl-Anthony Towns. They Randle and him, and that's definitely a downgrade. And they've kind of had some struggles with their depth this season, and if that continues here in the postseason, that's not going to be great. I personally think it's going to be at least 6-game series. I think Minnesota is definitely good enough. Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert are definitely good enough to get 2 games here, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I think the Lakers end up winning here in 6 games. Very fun, of course. Anthony Edwards went off a few times for 40 plus. Luke 40 plus. Maybe LeBron sneaks in a plus game here. It's really amazing, but I'm not really banking on that. But Luka and Anthony Edwards easily should be getting 40 plus at least once in this series. Moving on to 270 starting conference because it lines up better that way. Magic and Celtics. So actually, I believe I read that the Celtics record against the Orlando Magic is the worst out of any teams they played like in the last 2 or 3 years or something. So the Magic have the Boston Celtics number historically, right? But the Boston Celtics are pretty good at basketball, and the Magic, they're probably really good for being in the postseason, but they have injury issues with Jalen Suggs and Mo Wagner being out. Paolo Banchero is really good. I don't think he's going to be good to do much. I think Boston wins this 5 games. Maybe Orlando can make it to a 6-game series, but personally, I just don't think they're going to have enough to match this Boston Celtics team, and they just 1 game. Now, for the last first-round matchup with the Warriors and Rockets, this is actually like a nightmare scenario for Houston, in my opinion. Right? The Warriors team, who has a bunch of postseason experience, obviously with Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler now even, right? And again, their coaching staff, and a lot of this team was also on that 2022 Warriors team. So they got a lot of guys who are, have a lot of playoff experience, right? They're a championship culture, even if they haven't, necessarily even been that good in the last 3 years. Championship culture in their DNA. All these young guys are built into the championship culture that is here. Now, Houston, 90% of Houston's roster has not made a playoff game. Brett Finley has a title. Jeff Green has a title, but besides that, most of this roster has not even played in a playoff game. Dillon Brooks is going to be a fun matchup to watch here against Draymond Green, just because they're probably going to both get teed up a few times potentially in this series. It's going to be a fun matchup to watch, in my opinion, but actually, I'm going to take Golden State to up here. I'll probably make it go 7 games, honestly. I could see this being a 7-game series, and Golden State ends up with the upset, winning in 7 games. Okay, moving on to round 2. Maybe. Did I miss something? Golden State. Hold up. All right, I got it back. So here is our round 2 matchups here. In the West, we have OKC and the Los Angeles Clippers. Going to be a great series, I think, personally, right? James Harden going up against OKC in the playoffs has a cool storyline there. Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was drafted by the Clippers, traded for Paul George, and now they end up playing. Obviously, the Clippers don't have Paul George anymore, but if the Clippers end up getting bounced by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander here, that's just going to kind of be another storyline built into that trade as well. So a couple different storylines to watch here. I think it's going to be a good series. I think it goes at least 6 games. Both teams are really good. offensively, but I don't think there's a whole lot to say here. OKC is really good. They won 68 games. I think they're winning this series in 6. It's going to be a very entertaining 6 games. I could see it going 7. I wouldn't be too surprised if the Clippers did win because, of course, Kawhi has championship DNA. James Harden is a monster, right? But I just can't really see OKC losing here in the second round. In these rounds, we have the Cavs and the Pacers. So the Pacers obviously made the conference finals 0 and brought back the majority of the exact same roster, right? So they have high expectations to make another conference finals or even a finals run, but they're going against the best team in the Eastern Conference, second best team in the NBA, a very dominant Cleveland Cavaliers. This team has been dominant all season long, right? It's pretty much the exact same Cavaliers roster as a year ago as well, except better. Ty Jerome played a lot better. They have DeAndre Hunter now. He's really good. And then Kenny Atkinson is just a major upgrade head coach, or at least it appears to be that way, right? I think that's going to propel Cleveland here. I think it's going to be a fun series, another 6-game series we got here, but I am taking Cleveland in 6. Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton are going to do good enough, to steal a couple of games here from Cleveland, but I don't think they're a real threat to winning this series. Now, in the West Conference, we got the Lakers Warriors. So LeBron and Stephen Curry facing off in the playoffs for like the 100th time, it feels like. It's going to be an all-time classic of a series, even if it's a blowout in 4 straight games. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a close series, but just say if the Lakers end up winning by 20 points in 4 straight games and sweeping them, it's still going to be a great series because it is LeBron versus Stephen Curry. It doesn't matter how good the games actually are. It's LeBron versus Curry, so it's going to be a good series, right? That's pretty much the expectation is, at least. And, of course, both teams have great championship DNA at the head with LeBron and Curry. Lakers have the best player in the series with Luka Doncic. Warriors have Jimmy Butler, who's been a playoff demon historically, right? This is going to be a really, really good battle. I honestly think this series goes 7 games. Put that out there, right? I think it's 7 games. I think Stephen Curry and this Warriors team, I feel has into culture. They're going to make it 7 games. Lakers have the best player in Luka, potentially the best 2 players. If you think LeBron's better than Curry, I don't know. At this point, Curry's probably better than LeBron, but still, they definitely have the 2 of the top 3 players, right? And they have a really good rounded out unit as well with Austin Reeves. Again, they're very much lacking at the center spots, but really the Warriors have kind of been starting Draymond Green or Quentin Post at the center, which I'm pretty sure Jackson Hayes can kind of hold his own against Quentin Post or Draymond Green offensively. So not too worried about the lack of a center here for the Lakers because the Warriors don't have much going at that position either. With that said, I'm going to take the Lakers here in 7 games. I think it's going to be a great series. I said that a few times. But Luka is going to be much for Warriors head here. Lakers win in 7 games. Knicks and Celtics. This should be a great series as well, right? Boston obviously won the finals a year ago. They are poised to at least make an Eastern Conference Finals run. But New York, massively upgraded from last year, in my opinion, bringing in Karl-Anthony Towns, Julius Randle. Of course, they did lose Dr. DiVincenzo as well, but they have plenty of other rotational guys to kind of make up for that. Miles McBride is good. They're going to be a really good team. This is going to go through, right? I think at least game here. Right, New York is easily good enough to win 2 games against Boston. I could definitely see this being another 7-game series, but I don't think we're going to get 2 7-game series here. So I am going to go with Boston in 6. They're pretty much the same roster as a year ago and won the finals. So it's going to be very disappointing if they cannot make it back to at least the conference final, which I think will happen here. New York is good, but it's just not there here. Boston is just too good for New York right now, but after running it back for 1 more year, next year for New York, I could definitely see things be a little bit better for them. Okay, moving on from there, have the conference finals. These series are going to be epic. I mean, it's a conference finals, so they should be epic, obviously, right? That's just generally how that works. The Lakers and Thunder. So obviously, the best team in the league, just record-wise, one of the best records of all time. And the Lakers have LeBron and Luka. So, like, this is going to be an amazing series to watch, right? OKC, probably the favorite because, again, they've just been so dominant in the regular season. But the Lakers, of course, have Luka and LeBron. OKC has the best player in Shea, right? I mean, he's the leading MVP candidate, so that probably makes him the best player in this series. But you could probably still argue Luka over Shea. But, you know, this series, honestly, like, I don't want to pick 7-game series too much because I don't feel like it happens that much, but I feel like I have to pick a 7-game series here. It probably won't happen. Like, I probably pick a 7-game series, but just these teams are so close, in my opinion. I feel like I just have to say 7 games. I could easily see either of these teams winning. I don't even know what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to, I guess, who is going to be the one to step up in the clutch. Is it going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for OKC, or is it going to be Luka Doncic or even LeBron James here for Los Angeles? I don't know. I really don't know what to think about the majority of this postseason. I feel like definitely the four highest favored teams, but I really could see either one of them winning and not at all be surprised. I could even see some other teams like the Clippers winning it all, and I would not be surprised either. But this series specifically, I think I'm actually going to ride with the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't know, like, I'm going to be flamed just so hard, I feel like, if the Lakers lose in the second round to the Golden State Warriors, which definitely could happen, but I feel like with Luka and LeBron, they're really, really good, obviously. I feel like they're definitely good enough to make the finals. Now, in the Eastern Conference, we got the Celtics and the Cavs, so, I mean, these have been the runaway Eastern Conference favorites pretty much since, like, 2 weeks into the season when the Cavs started off, like, 10-0 or whatever it was, right? So, like, you know, obviously, Cavs have the best record in the East. Celtics made the finals a year ago and won the finals a year ago, so they'll probably honestly be favored in this series over Cleveland. I do know that these teams split their season series 2-2, so that doesn't really help us be able to gauge what we're going to see here in this series. So, again, like I said with the Lakers and Thunder, I don't want to pick 7-game series all the time because it just doesn't happen that much, I feel like. But, again, I feel like these are so close, I kind of have to pick a 7-game series. So, whoever wins this series is going to have a very good championship storyline against the Lakers, right? Obviously, if Boston plays the Lakers, those are the two best storied franchises of all time, right? If the Cavs play the Lakers, it's LeBron James versus the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals. That's going to be a really big storyline. So, either way, it's going to be a great finals matchup, and this Game 7 is going to be amazing, right? Personally, I'm kind of torn. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Jason Tatum is probably the best player in this series, but Donovan Mitchell has been amazing this year as well. Both teams are stacked as far as, you know, their best 5 players go, right? Darius Garland to Jrue Holiday. Darius Garland probably wins that matchup. Donovan Mitchell to Derek White. Donovan Mitchell wins that matchup. DeAndre Hunter versus Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown wins. Jason Tatum versus Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley wins. Jason Tatum wins. It's 2-2 right now. And then you got Kristaps Porzingis versus Jared Allen. And that's a very close matchup there as well. And then the 6th man, you got DeAndre Hunter versus Peyton Pritchard. So another really close matchup. And then you got Ty Jerome versus Peyton Pritchard. Like the matchups here between Boston and Cleveland, I feel like are just so close. I don't even know who to pick, but I got somebody. I'm going to pick the Cavs. So, that sets up for, you know, one of the best finals matchups of all time as far as the storyline goes, with LeBron James at 40 years old playing the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals. Again, I'm so torn. Like, this could go either way. I don't even know what I want to happen because, like, Obviously it'd be cool. I'm a LeBron fan, so it'd be cool if LeBron won another title. It'd also be really cool if Cleveland beat LeBron in the championship. That'd just be really cool. And I also love Donovan Mitchell. I don't want to have too much bias showing through here, but again, I'm just so torn. I feel like I'm gonna pick another 7-game series, right? I just don't know what else to do. I feel like it's so close. I don't have any better way to put it than make it a 7-game series, so that way it's like a definitive toss-up in my picture, because my brain, it's a definitive toss-up. If I pick the Cavs to win in 6 games, it's okay, it's even like that hard. Well, no, because like they could win in 6 games and every game be decided by 5 or less points, and it be an amazing series to watch still. Just because a series does not go 7 games does not mean it's amazing to watch. It does not mean it was not close. But just the way my brain, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm gonna push it to 7 games because I just have absolutely no idea. So, with that said, we got LeBron and Luka as probably the best 2 players in this game, right? That's not a good look for the Cavs. I mean, you could argue Donovan Mitchell potentially better than either of those players. He's probably going to be an all-NBA first-team player, while those guys are not. But there's certainly going to be some people that will not agree that Donovan Mitchell is better than Luka or Bron. Right? I am probably one of those guys. So, again, I feel like the Cavs definitely have the better roster. They have the better depth, for sure. Right? I already talked about their depth last series. Lakers obviously have a great do with Luka, LeBron. Austin Reeves is really good. But their role players are not as good as the Cavs' role players. And the Cavs, again, they have a whole starting lineup of all-stars. Right? They were not all-stars, but they are all-star caliber players. The Lakers obviously do not have that. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the Lakers do here to stop Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley from dominating this series offensively. Those 2 guys aren't necessarily guys that dominate offensively in general, but they definitely take advantage of a weak matchup, which is going to be a weak matchup for both of those guys, right? Rui Hachimura or Dorian Finney-Smith is not really going to be able to guard Evan Mobley that good. And Jackson Hayes against Jarrett Allen, I mean, both of those guys have like incredible hops, so like for that reason, it's not the worst matchup for Jackson Hayes. But again, he's just not a great defender, and Jarrett Allen is really good at catching lobs, which the Cavs are really good at throwing lobs to him as well. So it's going to be a very fun series, very close game. But I'm going to pick the Cleveland Cavaliers to win the NBA Finals here in 7 games over Los Angeles Lakers, with Donovan Mitchell being my Finals MVP. And that's going to be a wrap on this video.